I'm recording this on June 9th of October, and I just finished this Sunday doing a message at First Christian Church in Hanford. And so this is my second Sunday. I did one last Sunday, I did one this Sunday, because my friend Tom Warren is on vacation, and what a joy it was for me to go and share at his church. So I want to give you a little taste of what the message is about. Now, when you get my Journey of the Wave Walker, my goal isn't, when it's just me yakking, is just do them a minute or less. So, but this one I'll put on my Journey of the Wave Walker, and how you can get to my YouTube site if you want to see this. And I don't know, it might be 10 minutes or so. We'll see how long it takes. But anyway, this today it was really, first I wanted to show you the cover of the bulletin. This is really neat. Now, the secretary at First Christian Church, she knew my sermon title, and it was "You Can't Keep a Good Man Down." Can't keep a good man down. And she gave me three types of covers, and I saw this one, and I had to pick this one. And if you read Schultz cartoons and seen his cartoons, if he was still alive today and still writing, he would still be writing about Charlie Brown and Lucy and Linus and Snoopy and the whole gamut, right? Well, this is one where, you remember, Lucy says, "I'll hold the football and you go ahead and kick it." And and every time he falls for this, he falls for it, doesn't he? She moves the football away and bam, falls right down. And it happens again and again and again. And you're looking at this like, Charlie Brown, wise up. My gosh, she's going to do that. And he keeps falling for it. Well, the sermon title was called "You Can't Keep a Good Man Down." And I got the passage that Pastor Tom Warren showed to me was a passage that they were looking at that week. And so I wanted to give a message on what the people were preparing for. And it really was this Proverbs. And let me read it to you. It's Proverbs 24:16. And the Proverbs says, "Though the righteous fall 7 times, they will rise again, and the wicked stumble when calamity strikes." That's the proverb. And I went, whoa. And so I was thinking about that proverb. Though the wicked falls, he may fall again and again, 7 times, but he'll rise again, right? And I couldn't help but think of one of my favorite songs. No, I'm not going to sing it, and I did not sing it then at that time either. But one of my favorite songs, and I was hearing when I was at Hillside Baptist Church, a young kid, and there's a guy named Ron Cessna, great singing voice, Ron Cessna. Ron would sing this song, and I thought it was a song about Jesus. In fact, this song was so powerful, kind of became my theme song. And I even had it sung at my ordination service. It was really rich. Let me read the words to you of this song. I'm not going to sing it. And the words were this: "To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unfightable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, and to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that when man, scorned and scovered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star. Yeah, you know that song, The Dream, the Impossible Dream. And, I thought the song was always about Jesus. Uh, and then when I was 17, my sister Joanne and I, we went and saw a musical, a movie. It was a movie, and it was called Don Quixote, Man of La Mancha. And I realized watching that song was not written about Jesus. It was written about Don Quixote, a madman, crazy man, people think, went around chasing windmills thinking they were dragons. And then I was watching, we're into the movie, I'm into the movie, I'm going, wow, this is so good. And now they're really quick. If you've never seen the movie, I read the book. It's a big, thick book, but actually I prefer the movie. And I am watching plays. I've probably seen 2 or 3 plays of Don Quixote and Man of La Mancha. I even got to be in a play once with that. That was a great time in my life. But the movie takes place where Cervantes, who is the author of Don Quixote, Man of La Mancha, and Cervantes was a real person. He was a playwright, he was an author, he's a poet. He was kind of a radical dude in this day. And many times he spoke out against the church during the Spanish Inquisition. Not the greatest time in Christian history. And if you ever see the play or watch the movie, Cervantes, and Peter O'Toole's in the movie, Cervantes is doing a play in this courtyard. And he has his partner going along with him. And he's doing a play, and the Spanish Inquisition shows up. And they're going to haul him and throw him into jail, throw him into prison. And so Cervantes is taken, and his partner goes along with him, and his partner's carrying this big chest. And in this big chest are all of his acting supplies and props that he uses. And he gets thrown into this dungeon. And the inmates or the prisoner, they're in this dungeon. They're bored. So they grab the big box and they open it up and start throwing around all the stuff, the props. And Cervantes doesn't care about that. He's holding on to these papers, like dear life. And one of the prisoners says, he looked at it, he knows this. He doesn't care about it, he cares about it. So he rips it away from him. And he's about ready to throw it in the fire. And Cervantes says, take whatever you want, but don't throw that in the fire. So the prisoner says, yeah, if this means so much to you, we ought to have a trial. And if you can prove it, you got it. If you can't, we're throwing it in the fire. And Cervantes says, fine, we'll have a trial. But we'll do the trial my way. We'll have a charade. Well, I'll tell the story, and every one of you is going to play a part in this story. So he's going to tell the story of Don Quixote. And all the prisoners go, fine, we're not better to do. We'll role play. That's cool. And so he starts the story by talking about Don Quixote. Don Quixote, a retired gentleman with much time to read books. And he reads book after book on not being a knight, to go forth and do right for no other reason than just right to do. And he goes forth and he becomes a knight. And as he's telling this story, Cervantes, he's putting on this makeup or wigs and all this stuff to be Don Quixote. And all of a sudden, now you're into the story. The story takes place. And then if you see the movie, it's kind of strange because all of a sudden, you're not in a prison anymore, but you're always in a prison. You're not in a prison. You're out on this beautiful countryside. And now he's Don Quixote, and the story begins, and he's on this beautiful white horse. But in reality, he's kind of an old nag. But he's got this lance, and he's going to be a knight. And his partner is called Sancho, and he's riding around on a mule. And at one part of the movie, the play, and the book, he sees a windmill, thinking that it's a dragon, and he tackles it, goes after it, and he goes around and falls down, and he gets up, And you laugh about this. In fact, we developed an old saying about that. I guess you're just chasing your windmills. That old saying came from Cervantes' story of Don Quixote. Well, so you have an opportunity to see the world as Don Quixote sees it. Now, he's always looking throughout the book, throughout the play, he's always looking really for a lady to fight for in battle. Now, if you know about anything about knights, he's not wanting a lady to sleep with because knights are supposed to be pure. They're not supposed to have sex with gals. And he's always looking for this lady. He's even got a name for the lady. The lady is called Dulcinea. Well, he goes into this dirty, smelly, stinking little town. Now, that's what it is through our eyes. But through Don Quixote's eyes, it's a palace, a mansion. And he, because, hey, maybe his Dulcinea's there. And sure enough, he finds his Dulcinea. He's got a beautiful song called Dulcinea. It's a beautiful song. But if you saw her for what she was, not through Don Quixote's eyes, but for what she wasn't a beautiful princess. She was a kitchen slut. She was a prostitute. That's what she was. But Don Quixote cannot see her that way. He keeps calling her Aldonza, Aldonza. In fact, one time she gets really mad and she says, "Will you quit calling me that? I can take hatred, but I can't take kindness." And she sings this song about what does it mean to be Aldonza. And she sings this song, and part of the words of the song, and she's mad. She goes, "I was born on a donkey, and I'll die on a donkey. That's who I am. I'm nothing but Aldonza, the whore. So stop calling me Dulcinea." But he can't do that. He can't do that. He keeps calling her Dulcinea. Now, something interesting happens in the movie or in the play. I hope you get the movie. Check it out sometime. But in the play, she actually starts to change into a Dulcinea. It's amazing. Inwardly, she's changing into a Dulcinea. It's quite amazing. Now, one part of the movie, there's this one inmate that just can't put up with this anymore. He breaks the story, and now you're back in a smelly dungeon again. By the way, there are people in this dungeon, by the way, waiting for the Spanish Inquisition. You could take a week, a month, a year, you could die in there waiting for the Spanish Inquisition. So this one guy says, "Yes, you're ridiculous. You're crazy, Cervantes. Because you're just as crazy as your fictional character, Don Quixote. You know, if you need to see life as it is." And he's telling Cervantes that. You need to see life as it is. And Cervantes, he looks at this prisoner and he says, "I've seen life as it is. Misery, cruelty, hatred. I've seen my comrades die in battle or more slowly under a whip of a lash in Africa. Oh, I don't think they were questioning why they were dying, but they were questioning why had they ever been born. Who knows where madness lies? Perhaps to seek treasure only trash exists is madness. Too much sanity may be madness. But the maddest of all is to see life as it is and not as it should be." Well, that soliloquy, that got to me. I had to memorize that, and I did memorize that. Oh my dear, to see life as it is and not as it should be. Well, in the play, in the movie, Don Quixote has these relatives that they're trying to bring him back into sanity. They're worried he's gone off the rocker, being Don Quixote. And so there's a brief time where he gets his sanity back. By the way, even earlier, there's a line that says, "Too much sanity may be crazy." It's hard, too much sanity. Anyway, he gets his sanity back. He gets to see life as it is, brief time. And he gets really sick and he's in bed. And Aldonza, no, Dulcinea comes to him. And so does his friend Sancho. and they're trying to wake up the Don Quixote in him. And she needs him to be Don Quixote, the knight, because now she is Dulcinea. He says, you've got to come back. You've got to come back. And she says, you've got to remember the dream. He's in bed going, dream? What are you talking about, dream? So she starts to share the song to dream the impossible dream. And as he's sharing it, he's starting it. Please tell me more. Tell me more. And she says, you've got to remember this dream. And she says more of the dream. To march into hell for a heavenly cause. Tell me more. To fight for the right. And then all of a sudden he finishes the song. He finishes the dream. And he's back being Don Quixote the knight. And he gets up out of bed. Eddie. And she says, Sancho and Dulcinea said, stay in bed, you're not well. And he goes, what matters woe to a knight, that each time he falls, he may rise again, and woe to the wicked. I wonder if Cervantes had that proverb in mind. Let me read it to you again. Proverbs 24:16. Though the righteous may fall 7 times, they rise again, but the wicked stumble and calamity strikes. We're all going to stumble at times in our life. Sometimes, honestly, the reason we stumble is because we walked away from God. We've walked away from Jesus. We stumble because we've sinned. Yeah, you see that many times. You know, our little church right now at Rivercross, we're doing a Bible study in the book of Judges. Really tough book to get through because you see how many times they fall again and again because they forget about God. They forget to walk with God. And that's true in our lives at times. Sometimes we stumble because we have sinned. But sometimes we stumble not because we sin, but we live in a cursed world. We live in a sinful world. Take a look at Genesis chapter 3 when it all started. Hey, read the book of Job. Sometimes we stumble and fall, not because we've sinned, but because the world knocks us down sometimes. You know, even Jesus talked about that. If you follow me, Jesus said, if the world hates me, it's going to hate you. If the world persecutes me, it's going to persecute you. We will fall. We will stumble, whether we stumble because of our sin or we stumble because we're in a sinful world. This world is getting wackier and wackier and wackier. We may fall. I need to be around people that remind me to stay close to Jesus. That remind me, even though I stumble, he's going to be with me. To remind me that what matters won't, that a knight falls. For each time he'll rise again, and woe to the wicked. People, we need to rise like that. So maybe Charlie Brown, maybe Charlie Brown's got it right. Yeah, we can always say, why doesn't he learn his lesson? But it's his nature to fall and keep rising again. Trying to kick that football. Today, people, stay with people. Stay in the body of Christ. Stay with Christians that remind you, even though you fall, God is with us. Even though I go through the valley of the shadow of death, you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. And we will rise again, again, again. God bless.